What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is The Avenger and today for you guys we're going to talk about that amazing Wolverine reveal. Chat, they actually cooked. After years of radio silence, Insomniac Games has constantly reassured fans that they're working through and actually in active development and full steam ahead really on Marvel's Wolverine. Now that's the only update we've kind of gotten since the 2021 reveal. However, as of 2 days ago, the 25th of this month in September, they've given us a full-on gameplay trailer. Now it's a mix of in-game cinematics as well as gameplay, but we still got to see what they've been cooking. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing everything we know so far based on the story, the characters, and their brand new mechanics and kind of a lot more. But before we get right into it guys, if you guys want to see more on the channel with this type of content, click that like button, subscribe and turn that bell on for more notifications, as I will be covering Wolverine on this channel until the game's release. The first part of this video, we're going to do a little bit of a recap on the last 4 years. So it's going to be a bit of a short recap because there isn't really much. Last 4 years, in 2021, we had the reveal trailer of Wolverine alongside the Spider-Man 2 reveal trailer, which was just a short cinematic, which we all assumed was going to be amazing based on that small little snippet where he's got the claws coming out. We knew absolutely nothing else other than that. And then unfortunately in 2023 the game got leaked. Unfortunately, Insomniac Games had a really massive ransom breach that exposed internal assets, early builds, story outlines, and development documents. They gave a bit of a roadmap for the game's intended features, the character concepts and structures, and basically everything about the game kind of got leaked. Now, if you were like me and you stayed away from the leaks, I know absolutely nothing about the game until the reveal trailer, or the gameplay trailer, sorry, that released 2 days ago. I stayed away from those leaks, and I hope most people did, but you know, there are still floating around, and I've done my absolute best to avoid every single one of them other than that one clip of Logan running on a wall. But that's all we knew for the last 4 years. Ever since 2023, Spider-Man 2 dropped, and then silence. And then from 2023 up until now, fans have been asking, where's Wolverine? Where's Wolverine? And all over their Twitter page or X page or whatever it's called nowadays, everyone's asking, where is Wolverine? And the constant reassurance is currently working on the game or in full development. Now, what we know as of 2 days ago, skip that 4 years of radio silence, we finally have a trailer with actual gameplay, but also a release window of fall 2026. Now, if you're in Australia like myself, fall 2026 is spring. It's the months between September, October, and November. That's when we could expect the game to release. They've also mentioned that this is a PS5 exclusive at launch, with no PC version to be confirmed. However, in the speculation side of things, Sony and Insomniac Games have kind of merged their games to PC a year or so later. After launch, of course, we got that with Spider-Man 1, Miles Morales, as well as Spider-Man 2. Even God of War is now on PC. So I don't doubt this game's going to be on PC, but we'll hold off on that for now. And for those that are on the PS4, I think you might need to upgrade because this game is not coming out on PS4, just like Spider-Man 2. And now, we've also been announced, or been told, that we're going to know more about the game in spring of 2026. Now, again, if you're in Australia like myself, spring 2026 is March, April, May. That sort of 3-month window in Australia is what we call autumn, but what the Americans call spring, and that's when we're expecting to get more information on that. Now, just off the topic of Wolverine, just for a moment, that release window of like getting more information of Wolverine, which should be around the same time we should also be getting a lot of full steam marketing ahead on GTA 6. So those 3 months are going to be the most absolute absolute amazing 3 months, I think, in gaming ever. So just want to point that out there. But back onto the release and strategy of their platform and what they're going for, we also got our first official look at the box art. Now, they're saying that this one was given more special attention, and it was deliberately made to not mirror Insomniac's past covers. They say that they worked with comic artist Jock, who's famous for Wolverine Max, to capture a more raw, urgent, and gritty look. Now, it might just be me, but I don't see an insane difference between this art versus the Spider-Man art, but I'm not complaining. I think it's pretty peak. Now, we're going to talk more about the narrative and the setting of this game, and look, the first thing we're going to discuss is the hub worlds. So, the settings that are confirmed based off the trailer and the PlayStation blog are Madripoor. We also have the location Princess Bar that's also been confirmed, which is something a lot of the fans have been speculating since the reveal in that little bar, so we know that that's completely confirmed now, which is pretty cool. We've also got Canada and the Frosted Wilderness as a explorable hub world, and Tokyo and the narrow city streets in Tokyo as well. So we're kind of traveling around the world in a sense with Logan's character, but not just around the world, it's all locations that are centric to Wolverine's character. Now, we know a little bit about the game's core narrative, which is Logan is on a hunt to uncover secrets of a dark past, and yeah, that's pretty much what we know. That both the PlayStation blog and the trailer emphasize that he's trying to uncover his dark past. And something from the trailer that kind of got me was that Wolverine is his own narrator. He doesn't have, you know, the right memories in some instances. Lots of his past is kind of foggy, and we saw that in X-Men Origins, the movie as well, where he didn't know who he was in the past and trying to deal with that and trying to figure out who he was in the past. And I think that's the direction that this game is going in. It's trying to uncover secrets of his origin from his past, and it's all resurfacing, and it's just gonna be peak. Now, we also know that the game has some Easter eggs in relation to the Hulk in the reveal trailer as well as in this trailer. It's a small little Easter egg here, but there's a license plate that says HLK181, which is an Easter egg most likely nodding to the Incredible Hulk 181. This issue is where Wolverine made his first comic appearance. Now again, speculation, and I'm going to dive more into this in a separate video, but I think we're going to get a Hulk boss fight, which is going to be pretty cool. And in terms more in a narrative setting, we know a massive tonal shift between Spider-Man and this game. This tone is darker, it's grittier, it's violent. This is Logan's domain. It's not a sanitized universe with quirky jokes and stuff like that like Spider-Man would do. It's straight up gore, dark, Logan at his finest. The PlayStation blog emphasizes that they're trying to deliver the ultimate Wolverine fantasy by combining Insomniac's strengths, which is fluid combat and amazing set pieces, but with also Logan's brutal identity. Now, that's sort of the basics of what we know in terms of the narrative and the setting in the game. We're getting a darker Wolverine game set across the world, or more so set in locations that are really important to Logan and Logan's story, which is pretty flippin' neat. Now, in terms of characters and antagonists, we've actually got our first look at some confirmed characters in the game. First one, obviously, being Wolverine, who we now know is portrayed by Liam McIntyre, who is confirmed to be the voice and motion capture for the role. Now, Insomniac and the PlayStation blog kinda let us know and kinda reinforce us that this guy, he played the character really well, and judging by his voice acting with the character, I'm super hooked onto it. I cannot wait. Logan's character is sort of portrayed as a tortured, furious figure who forced to claw through enemies for clues in a way. He's just angry, he's damaged, and he just wants answers. Now, on the villain slash supporting character side of things, the trailer shows the following characters. We've got our first look at Mystique. We don't know much about her role, however. It's kind of an ambiguous. We don't know if it's a foe, if she's an ally, if she's a manipulator, if she's playing both sides. But we kind of saw from what we saw, she was cloning herself, or like shapeshifting herself into one of the new villain gang, which is, we're gonna talk about that shortly, and then taking them all out like right after. So we don't know who side she's on, but I'm kind of keen to find out. We also got our first in-game look of Omega Red, which, boy oh boy, when I saw that reveal, when I saw that for the first time, I was super excited. I was on the train, believe it or not, watching this because I had to go to work, and I jumped out of my seat and started going like screaming. I looked like a psychopath on the train. Thank God the carriage was mostly empty. But he's definitely a villain. You see how he's just grabbing Logan with his hands, like the little coils that are coming out of his hands. Man, he's on demon time. The next thing that we know, it's more of a faculty, the Reavers. They're a gang, and so they're half human, half cyborg adversaries. They're basically seem to be the main targets that we're fighting as Logan throughout the campaign. Judging by the trailer, it looks like that's the main group of villains that we'll be fighting, similar to the Hunters in Spider-Man 2. I feel like that will be the main gang that we're taking on. And then last but not least, we have our first look at the Sentinels. Now, only one Sentinel, and that was at the end of the trailer. That also made me jump out of the seat again, like a psychopath, but still. It's amazing. We finally have an X-Men, we have a Wolverine game, an X-Men character with X-Men villains, and a Sentinel making his first appearance. Now, look, there are other hints to other characters like Trask. He's been hinted at throughout this trailer a lot, with one of the guards wearing Trask uniform, one of the trucks having Trask logo on it. But also, the Sentinel itself is a really key and centric point to Trask's identity in the Logan story, in the Wolverine story, as well as the X-Men story. We also know that Trask is kind of the main person behind Wolverine getting his powers, so I'm kind of excited to see how we're going to explore Logan's relationships with the characters, and how that will kind of unload the lore in this universe. Now, once again, I say this universe because it's its own universe. It's not set in the MCU. It's not taking inspiration off of the X-Men Fox universe. It's its own original story set in the same universe as Spider-Man, I'm pretty sure. That's sort of, I'm on the fence about that, but look, the direction suggests that we're going to get an amazing Wolverine story, and I cannot wait. In terms of gameplay mechanics, we finally got our first look at the blood tech, and that's what they're actually calling the new technology on the blood physics of the game. They highlight the extremely versatile combat, the claws through skulls, deep gashes, blood spraying everywhere. The devs repeatedly referred to blood tech as a new system to render gore, damage, and just gore detail. They say that this plays differently than the past games, not just because Logan doesn't shoot webs, but the tone and mechanics and the feel overall are intentionally distinct. So comparing it to Insomniac's Spider-Man game, it plays differently. The way I see it, it looks more something like God of War mixed with Insomniac, creating an amazing game. Anyway, we're not web swinging through cities, we're running around rooftops with claws out, and instead of, joking around and quipping when we're fighting, we're screaming. Now, we're going to talk more about the blood tech, because we see a lot through the trailer that blood just squirting out of every villain that we take our hands on, and the gore is amazing, and we get a few instances of combat as well with the fast hands, and it looks like we're getting more up and close rather than a bit distance and web shooting. Once again, we're not doing that, we're up and close. Now, they also discuss that Insomniac also discussed, that the detail is it's something that they've never done before, implying higher fidelity in physics, destruction, and effects. One of the developers admitted that one gore shot, the claws going through the face, was almost cut for being too far, but they kept it to enforce the brutal tone of the game, which is pretty neat if you don't ask. If you ask me, it's so neat that we're having a brutal Wolverine. I couldn't imagine this game being toned down to like PG or M. I feel like this is going to be an MA to R18 plus game here in Australia, because we do our ratings a little bit differently than Americans. So I'm thinking most likely MA, but we might hit that R18 plus direction. Now, we also have a little bit of a look in terms of traversal and vertical movement. We know that Wolverine can climb up walls. We saw a shot of him sliding down rooftops with his claws out. I can't wait to see a little bit more in terms of traversal, but in terms of environments, a lot of the environments we have seem to be, a lot of compact buildings. Obviously not the forest part, but in Madripoor, for example, you can jump down on the rooftops and stuff, but I'm more curious on how much we can actually explore in terms of the hub worlds. I think we'll find more about that as time goes on. And the last thing that, we don't really know officially, but the health and regeneration. Now, we saw a clip of it towards the end of the trailer where Wolverine was, slowly having his claws come out, and we have his adamantium skeleton showing through his skin, and then we watch it heal. Now, I wonder how much in that is gameplay in a way, that if we keep getting hit, are we going to have our skeleton ripped off and we can see the metal, and how do we heal ourselves? I think that's something that we're going to get more bit information on. It's kind of too early to talk about the health and regeneration other than what we kind of saw in the trailer. Now, back into the tone of the game is being positioned with a more mature aesthetic. We know it's gritty, we know it's got a lot of violence and gore in there, but the darkness as well in the tone, it's just amazing. It's basically breaking it's bringing the identity of Wolverine's character, and it's not toning it down any way, shape or form. The new box art also, as we mentioned earlier, was intentionally made to look different from prior Insomniac covers. The use of Jock, which was the comic artist for a gritty Wolverine comic he made in the past, signals they want that cover to match the tone of the game. Now, there's a lot else to talk about in terms of the lighting, the gore effects. It's amazing in terms of the art direction of the story. The destructible geometry. We saw Wolverine kick a dude through a little stand, and that broke. The trailer reveals a level of visual fidelity that Insomniac claims they've never been able to do before, and they cooked with it, and I cannot wait for them to actually finish the game and get my hands on it right now. Now, we also know about a little bit of Easter eggs in this portion of the video. So before we get into it, if you guys are enjoying the video so far, click that like button and subscribe. But we now know the Princess Bar is finally in the game. It's not to Madripoor lore, which is pretty cool. The second Easter egg, as we mentioned earlier in the video, was the HLK 181 Easter egg, which is clearly referencing Incredible Hulk 181, Wolverine's first debut. A pretty cool part here, and it's not really an Easter egg, it's more of the costume and variants of the costumes, similar to Spider-Man, how he's got different suits. We kind of see Wolverine wear different, 3 pieces of clothing throughout this trailer, kind of suggesting that alternate outfits, or skins in a way, will likely return as a feature in the game. We had a cowboy looking aesthetic, we had the Canadian coat looking aesthetic, and then we had the Wolverine suit. Now, another thing is we know a little bit more about the background silhouettes. They're I've seen a lot of people talk about them referencing future characters, but look, haven't looked into it that deep yet. But yeah, otherwise, that's going to be a wrap so far. Just to recap on this video what we've discussed, we know that Wolverine is coming out on the PS5 in fall 2026, or spring for us Australians, but primarily for the American audience, fall 2026. We know that we're able to traverse through Madripoor, Canada, and Tokyo, and we know that they've got a new raw tone and blood tech technology in the game. Now, in terms of story, we don't know much other than Logan trying to uncover his past, but I'm super excited, and I cannot wait to find out more in the spring of 2026, or March for us in Australia. Once again, March to April to even May, most likely. I reckon it'll be March or April. I don't think they're going to do anything during May when GTA 6 releases, but I can't wait to find out more about this game. And if you guys enjoy and you guys want to be a part of this journey with Wolverine, again, hit that like button and subscribe. Stay up to date. I've got a lot more videos coming out for this game, and I'll be covering this game for as long as I possibly can until it actually releases. Without further ado, guys, that's all from me. Have an amazing night, because it's night time for me, and yeah, see you guys.